Hey everybody, good afternoon. I'm back, Montague of Montague Travels, and today I want to talk about Black business and something I shared on Facebook, and I'll read out the whole quote because it's gotten a lot of blowback, and then every year I post it, it gets blowback. Black owned does not mean cheaper to hook up or discounted. Unlearn that, and that's a very necessary conversation to have. So before we blow out all the hurt triggers and people that are pissed off, let's talk about the reality of it. That's a loaded question. That is a loaded statement. That's a loaded feeling, and it goes back and forth through the ages, from the roots of business, from when business transactions first transpired, and the biblical principle of it, trading, hunting and gathering, and then the cultural biases built into colonization and racism in America, the Willie Lynch letter, and all those different things that made up the South, different groups, regions, cultural biases, regional biases, verbal biases, educational bias, and then you want to talk about Black business. Let's stop for a second. Here's an example. I'm a military kid. Grew up Dallas Air Force, born in Texas. Does that make me a native Texan? Hold that thought. So at age 2, moved to Okinawa, Japan for 4 years. At age 6, Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. You know the one that got melted in 1991? That one. Before the volcano blew, moved to Torrejon Air Force Base in España. So I wasn't far from Madrid. After that, moved back to Texas, where I finished middle school, high school. Went to college in New Orleans, went back to Japan. Why is that all important? It's relevant. Here's why. So when I got my business management degree in the city of New Orleans, and you're thinking, young 22-year-old college graduate, 23-year-old college graduate should be able to find a job in business management. Did several internships, work for a couple of local people? No. There is no industry that's going to support a young Black college graduate in New Orleans unless you're an entrepreneur and you have capital to build and invest in yourself. Period. That's how it works. Now you're thinking, but wait, Javon, you have computer skills. You worked all these different internships. You have this. Yeah, you couldn't find a job in New Orleans. I was literally working at Game Trader. I was working at the Gap. I was working at KFC. I was working whatever little mall job I could find just to keep a roof over my head. If not working 2 jobs. College educated, business management. The only jobs that are supporting in New Orleans: construction, music, art. You're an engineer that's been hired by a firm. Your people own a business, or someone has used nepotism to push into a job. How does this relate to Black business? So let's fast forward to 2013. Started my consulting business, and it's failed 4 times. I built gaming computers, what have you or not. So the second I added travel to it, I started to see some success. So 2016, when I was planning my 2017 trip, I was approached on the internet by a gentleman and his wife from Houston, Texas. Actually, I was approached by 3 couples, but we're going to use the Black couple as a primary example. So the Black couple was like, hey, my wife has never been to Japan. I've never been to Japan. We've been to Europe. We've been here. We've been to these places. We have $4,000. Can we make Japan work? No. What do you mean you can't make Japan work with $4,000? Europe is a heavily saturated market for vacation and destination travel. Yeah, you can get a $350 plane ticket. Yeah, you can get an $800 plane ticket for business if you wait for the right time frame. No, Japan is not Europe. Japan is Asia. That's a whole new ballgame. Most white or registered big name travel agencies do not want to talk about Asia. They don't understand the culture, the language, all of the 200 languages spoken in Asia, not just Japanese, Mandarin, Cantonese, Hangul, and Vietnamese. No, there's more languages and dialects spoken in Asia that anybody wants to talk about. They don't understand exchange rates. They don't want to get off their ass and look for plane tickets. They don't want to really help. They're like, And we'll get to my example dealing with US few based travel agents later. So fast forward. I said, here's my package. Package is going to run you $11,000 for 2 weeks, and boom. Why is it so expensive? Your plane tickets are $1,500 a piece from Houston. Even though it's a direct flight, you don't want to fly coach. You want to fly economy plus almost business. So let's be real. 1,500 is about right. So if you out of 11,000 subtract 3, you got 8,000 left. You're going to be in Japan for 2 weeks. Train passes are running $560 a piece. So that's another $1,120 out. Then we got to think about getting from the airport to the hotel. That's about 60 bucks. If you take the express train, it's about 20 if you take the bus. So more money out. Then we got to think about, what's the next issue? The next issue is going to be hotels, duh. And you don't want to stay at no 2-star, 1-star, not even a 3-star. You want to stay at a 4 or 5-star hotel. That's about 150 a night. So it's 2 of you in a room, 150 a night. Boom. 2.5 weeks, which is 13 nights in Japan. That's what? $1,500, $1,800, almost, let's just say 2,000 out. So we've already spent half the money. Now, you said Tokyo Disney. You want to go to all these exclusive little event venues and tours all over Japan. Okay, they cost money. So I gave him an itemized list. And then when I gave him all the prices and expenses, I said, here's my fee out of the 11,000. I want $2,000. So I got him 2 round-trip tickets to Japan, 4 and 5-star hotels, train passes, transit to and from the airport, and all of these tours packaged for $11,000. He tried to talk me, the owner of the company, down to, yeah, I got 7, 8. I'm not paying for your plane tickets. You are. And I said, okay. So we're going to stop the press. What are you offering me to eat $3,000 that I just don't have at this moment? Well, I know all these different churches and groups. I don't care about churches and groups in Houston. That's not a selling point. I said, you know what? I looked up your social media. So on Twitter, you got 30 followers. Don't know who these people are. None of them are ringing a bell to me. It's not Sony. It's not a cosplayers group. It's no one I really market to or care about. So that's out. Here's your Instagram. These look like your people, your family, your friends, your auntie, people at church. Don't care about them. Don't know who they are. Don't know if they're doctors, lawyers, or have money. I don't know anyone on any of your social media. You don't even own your own business, and you work for a company that pays you $120,000 a year. I'm not giving you the hookup. I don't know you. I don't even like you. Oh, that's bullshit. Fuck you. You just hateful. Inward, pick an expletive. And I said, this is where I want to hang out. If your wife wants to talk and do business, cool. If not, I'm not expecting to hear from you. Have a happy life. Better yet, here's the 5 people I'm trying to compete with that are going to charge you $40,000 for your trip. Minimum. Good luck. So let's pop forward a year. I buried my dad. I've gotten back from Japan. I've been fired from KIP. Wife emails me saying, hey, I'd like to talk to you. We took our own trip to Japan and we hated every minute of it. As I'm reading the email, I'm dying laughing. I'm just in stitches. Like, oh, you went to Japan with one of these other companies and give you the difference between the other packages and me. I don't start a tour before 10 o'clock. Why? If I'm out eating and drinking and partying and enjoying a whole new place, I'm probably walking in my hotel room about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm probably gonna take a shower, eat breakfast, go for a walk, get some exercise, stretch, and relax. I don't want to talk to anybody before 9 o'clock, especially as a school teacher that's teaching from 8 to 4. It's summer. Let's not say we did. Really. Let's not honor the dragon and say we did. So the other tours, you're signing up to be harassed and on a schedule, corralled and quarantined with a group of people from all over the world that sign up for this tour that you've never met and you never want to spend time with again in life. It's like a job. It's nasty. It's gross. It sounds like a job. So what had ended up happening is that they were getting wake-up calls at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:15, 7:30. And if you didn't respond by 7:30, one of the tour assistants was knocking on your hotel room asking if you were coming or not. And they weren't refunding you any of the money from any of the things that you did on it that you missed out on. So if you spent $200 to go to a wine tasting and you weren't ready to go, you're out $200 and they're not reimbursing you. They're not rescheduling it. They're not moving to another day. And then you missed the entire tour group for the day. So anything you had to do today that you paid money for, you were out. My tour is like, what are we doing today? Here's what you want to do. Here's where we buy the tickets. Let's go. But I look like you. I'm going to use a phrase I picked up in New Orleans. All skin folk ain't kin folk. So wife gets on the phone, calls me. I'm driving, running errands. Matter of fact, the day I went to Drags later to talk to Cliff Bland, rest his soul. And she's like, hey, Monica. He's like, hey, lady, how you doing? That Japan's a beautiful country, but we didn't get to enjoy it. We were pissed off most of the time. After the first couple of weeks, the first couple of days, we just started skipping tours and doing things on our own and getting lost. And I'm like, sounds about right. Most people do that. Yeah, and it was just, Japan's not really expensive, and these hotels were at best. I didn't even get to pick what room I wanted. I was pre-assigned a room. I didn't get to do what I wanted, and I paid for upgrades to my rooms, and upgrades were a Coke and a Pepsi and maybe a beer. And I paid $20 for a beer, and it's $1 in the vending machine. I'm like, sounds about right. Yeah. And we didn't get train passes. We got tickets handed to us every time we had to go somewhere. I'm like, yeah, they itemize your tickets to keep you locked into the tour group. Yeah, we should have went with you. And then her husband heard that she was on the phone with me and cussed me out on speaker. And I'm like, it's nice to talk to you, but good luck with that. He didn't want to apologize for how he handled dealing with me. He wanted to call me out my name. He badmouthed me on Instagram and his little 30 Twitter followers, and I've never felt the repercussions of his outburst. Get over it. So, one situation. Let's go back to my trip and why I started my business. When I was getting married and planning out in 2012, my dad and my wife's father wanted to ship in a trip to Japan. So there's a travel agent that's based in San Antonio, Texas, out in Alamo Heights. When I called her office to get a quote, she wanted $40,000. Yes, $40,000. Her in disclaimer, all of her trips, she gets a 40% fee out of that chunk. So she was going to literally rake me over the coals for 1 year of teaching and collect a $16,000 check for 10 nights in Japan. 11 days, 10 nights on a forced tour, being pissed off with people from all over the world I've never met and probably will never want to see again. Yeah. The other travel agent that's, I want to say downtown San Antonio, wanted $18,000 for 2 weeks, only Tokyo, Osaka, and Kyoto, no Kobe, for $9,000 a piece, no plane tickets. Alamo Heights, no plane tickets. My package included plane tickets within a window. If you pay for your plane tickets, this price. If you wait till then, here's your average price. Wait till the last minute, here's what your final average price could be. Nobody in the industry was doing that. Hi, small Black business person, research skills, knows what he's talking about, lived in Japan, taught in Japan, has traveled Japan extensively, but I'm not an expert in Japan. Or I'm not a Black enough expert for your idiosyncrasies and cultural biases and expectations. And I know the shirt's flashing in and out, green shirt, green screen, didn't feel like changing. It's okay. The next video will discuss why I did this on purpose. So let's go back to New Orleans as another example. I have a YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account. I have a Twitter account for my business. When COVID happened, I had a major bout of depression. Shout out to Naomi Osaka for sticking up for herself and dealing with the French Open and all of them jerk offs. But I stepped back because I ate $9,000. I'm still owing to customers and vendors and what have you not, and working, struggling to pay it off. That's just facts. Yeah, 9 grand in a hole. We're not talking about my student loans. Just business wise, I'm out 9,000. So I took a break from marketing, what have you, and not. I was too depressed to apply for the first round of the emergency disability grants for the federal government. Yeah, whatever. But business in New Orleans, most blacks in New Orleans only want to deal with other blacks from New Orleans. Back to that thing about me being a military kid and being from all over the world and knowing what life outside of this damn swamp looks like really does haunt me. Not sounding or having the local political expressions does tend to push people away because when I say, hey, I have a trip to Japan, oh, I'd love to go back to Japan. And I literally had a guy at the community books and like, yeah, I would love to go back to Japan. How much is your price? Does it include plane tickets? Answered all his questions. I want to go talk to the people out in Metairie. Okay, deuces. So I get an email 2 months down the road saying, hey, and this was back in 2018. He's like, man, I would really like to go back to Japan. I'm like, we had this conversation last year. How much were those people charging out of Metairie? They wanted 12,000 a person. I'm like, okay. And what did you do? Oh, we didn't go. I didn't have that. I'm like, you just did a book signing. You just sold 1 million copies. I don't want to know your business. Don't want to dip into your business, but you are an educator of prominence in the state of Louisiana. You taught at various universities, whatever, man. And he's like, well, you've only done one tour. And I'm like, but it doesn't stop me as a travel agent from planning out other people's trips, helping them secure venues, and helping them get to where they want to be, and helping them find a local tour guide to help them on their vacation. What part of me doing only one trip and having my industry search is stopping you from doing business with me? I don't really know you. You should have said that shit first. I'm not your people. Even though I went to Dillard, which is an historically black college in New Orleans, and I've done internships with various business leaders that are black in New Orleans, and they know me and they know I do quality work. You just have your bias because I ain't giving you money. And you're like, but Jamal, why would you give him money? Because black money moves from black hands I trust to black hands I trust as the rule in New Orleans. I don't give you money. I don't want to do business with you. But why would I give you money to do business with me? It makes no sense. Unless you're investing in a relationship, and that's the issue with New Orleans. These relationships have been forged since slavery. And these relationships stretch as far as Atlanta, as far as Florida, all the way out to California. So there's so many slaves that when slavery broke out, they moved, but that regional mindset of doing business with people that they're comfortable doing business with never left their genetic code. I'm not part of that genetic code. So that's why my business struggles in New Orleans. Perfect example. The black people that came with me in 2017 were my friends from San Antonio. The people that came for me from New Orleans are actually from Metairie, they're white. A lot of black people in New Orleans are like, oh, I would love to go back to Japan. I want to see Japan. I have people at church were like, man, the last time I was in Japan was in the 60s. I was having a blast. I was young and da da da. I'm like, you want to go back and see it? How much is it going to be? And I said, group trip. I can talk to Air Canada and get plane tickets under 1,000. Just tell me what you want to do. Let's sit down and iron out dates and itinerary, hotels, and then I get you a whole price. You just can't do it in your head. If you want me to come out a price out of my head, I'm going to charge you 15,000 a person for wasting my damn time. And yeah, I know I'm doing a lot of f bombs and curse words and throwing a bird, but you want the truth. I'm brutally honest. Here's the truth. This is what Black business people go through. So let's fast forward. I'm going to pick on some of my fraternity brothers for a minute. I'm not calling out any names, but we're going to pick on them. So went to a regional, virtual regional, because, COVID. And like, oh, you still doing trips to Japan? Man, how much can a frat get as price? And I'm like, really? Really? And I said, here's a point. Here's the price tag. One person, I'm not cutting you a discount. If you show up with a family of three, family of four, family of six, a group of 20, yeah, let's talk about a discount. You by yourself. And I said, I'm going to scroll through my phone, look at the last quote I sent out for one person traveling by themselves for this year. Here's the price. Take it or leave it. Come on, frat. Come on. We've been frat since you crossed in 2000, and I'm like, yeah. And I hear from you when you fucking want something. Not a hey, happy birthday on Facebook, not a text message around your birthday. I even text you on your birthday. Hey man, what's up? How you doing? I let you know when I'm going to Japan to go shopping. I ask if you want any collectible items from Japan. Being considerate, I know you're out in the Midwest, closer to Chicago, and I say, hey, you want me to mail you something? Postcard, bottle of alcohol. I'll be at the airport. Holla at me. You want me to give you half off one of my packages? This is going to happen a lot. I'm warning you now. There's a lot of F-bombs, so I'm going to have to put a disclaimer. But that's the premise. Now, for those of you that aren't Black and you have issues with doing business with Black businesses, let's start with the bottom feeder concept. I don't like crawfish. I don't like seafood. I barely like catfish, depends on who cooks it. Why? Because both of those species of fish are bottom feeders. And the reason why a lot of Black businesses raise their prices is to deal with people that have moderate to high income and to chase off the bottom feeders that walk by, like in all the Black exploitation movies. Man, look, I got $5. What can I get for $5? We don't want to deal with that. We set our prices saying, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm willing to come down to a little bit, but I'm not here for all the shenanigans and the BS, especially in Black communities that have been historically impacted by white and non-Black racism. Before we even talk about Black on Black violence and racism, let's just deal with the larger issue. Tulsa, Oklahoma just had the anniversary. So thriving Black community where a dollar circulated 482 times in a month and never left the community was burned down by angry white rioters who couldn't keep their business afloat in the middle of the Great Depression or before the kickoff of the Great Depression. Thriving Black community, 40 years out of, less than 100 years out of slavery, doing great. They can't have that. What's wrong with them? Burn it down. So now, backdrop to where we're coming back to this point. You have what? A white business that wants to do business with a Black business. How would you approach that situation? Would you show them and say, hey, we're auto parts manufacturer, but you do brakes. You install brakes. How much would you charge? How about we sit down and we have a business plan and proposal, we bring you out for dinner, show you what our numbers are, see what we can go through. And most Black businesses be like, yeah, we'll come eat your food, we'll sit and listen to you, we ain't doing shit with you because we don't what? Know you. We don't trust you. Unless you come with a very lucrative offer and our people have gone through this contract to make sure you're not screwing us, we don't want to be bothered. Now, on a case-by-case basis, if you want us to do some services for you, here's our prices. No, we're not negotiating. That's what a lot of whites get dealing with Black businesses. Why? Historical racism, bias. But I'm not racist, and here's a Karen moment. White woman calls me about billing her son a gaming computer. And fortune, here's my fortune spill, how she doesn't like dealing with blacks. She doesn't like dealing with the black and brown community. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, I'm an African American sole proprietorship. I'm not Japanese, and I'm going to charge you what I normally charge people. Why can't you do that? I'm not racist. Lady, you just sat on the phone with me for 5 minutes and told me how you hate Mexicans and blacks and Asians. No, you know what, matter of fact, click, done. The deal is that you want me to sit here and educate you on implicit bias and race. No, go read a book. Fast forward to 2021. When my travel business got really impacted by COVID and I was emerging from my depression, my personal depression, and wanting to help out other small black businesses get on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is not worth anything. I have 420 something subscribers. My Instagram account has about almost 500 subscribers. But people never hesitate to talk to me about Japanese real estate buying a house. Stop that shit, really. Just stop. I don't want to talk about real estate in Japan. Don't have a real estate license in America. Don't want one in Japan. Stop anything. And I'll explain why later. But here's the cultural difference and the barriers. It is exhausting to talk about black trauma. It's exhausting to talk about black on black violence. It's exhausting to talk about why we want alliances with all the other brown races and why all that's all exhausting. Read a book, subscribe to a podcast, do it. I want to talk about my posts. So a lot of people want to talk to me, and skin folk as well as non-skin folk want to complain about their biases on why black is charged so much. Don't want to do a trifling, trashy, terrible customer base. Not saying that I'm going to have a shop in Alamo Heights for a daily drive or out in the French Quarter or on Magazine Street, New Orleans. But I don't want tooth and nickel herders. I call, when I don't want to use any word, I say herders. I don't want a herd of uneducated, biased opinions in my place of business. I don't want to deal with anyone that is so tight in their little social network that, oh, it's that alien from Texas. I don't want to be bothered. Matter of fact, if I could move back to Texas, I'd be gone. Can't. I'm here for a while. I've got a contract. So we've covered wide implications of bias, regional bias, black on black bias. I think I covered all my bases. But here's the deal. It's especially difficult for women of color to launch a business and not get that same backhanded compliment of asking for a discount. Women can't do that, but you have a business, you should give me a discount because I'm entertaining my own biases in your face. Those are the people I want to shoot personally, punch in the face. You know, if it was Call of Duty, I would drag you through the mud for about 30 rounds, so I felt better. It's not difficult to understand implicit bias. Everyone has bias. Perfect example. And we're not going to use color. My car breaks down. Which dealership am I calling? Which tow truck service am I calling? I'm going to call the one that's closest when I look at my phone that has at least 3 to 5 stars, that has reasonable customer reviews. I don't care if the water black. My car is broken down. I'm stranded and I want to go home. Now, bias. Tow truck driver shows up. Tow truck driver is white. I'm going to be kind of like, I want to see credentials. I see a tow truck. I see your business on the side. What's the price? Granted, my tow truck's getting serviced. State Farm or whatever insurance agent's going to reimburse you. We're done. Let's flip. Black guy shows up. How you doing? Good. I see your tow truck. You got a business card. You got an invoice. Cool. Same thing. It's not going to bother me. Why? Because I don't care. My car broke down. Now, where my bias is going to step in is how my car is treated getting to the repair shop, how my car is handled by the people working on my car, and then how I'm going to, of course, shop around for a better price for my pocketbook. I don't care if you're white, black, or whatever. I want the best price that's going to fit my pocket. I'm not having bias. However, other people especially, we're not going to mention any names, we're just going to say blue. They want someone that looks like them, who is willing to give them a price that favors all their internal biases and move on. There you go. Point of the matter is that one, I took a break from marketing from trip to Japan for a ton of reasons. Let's go over the top three. Japan doesn't have a COVID plan. They're about to blow the Olympics bad. The angry old man syndrome, if you watch any of my other YouTube videos, covers this internally in entirety. Two, I'm not going to feel comfortable going to Japan even after they open the country until at least 6 months to a year afterwards. I'm hoping and praying for 2023. It might be 2024, it might be 2025, it might be never. Japan is a dinosaur when it comes to making monumental policy shifts in a short amount of time. Don't know you. Next issue. Well, number three. Places that I would really want to travel to and visit with in Japan are still recovering, especially the town of Hideyoshi. I can put you in touch with Ms. Madoka if you would like to make a donation, because the entire community experienced the small version of Hurricane Katrina. Anyone that's dealt with Hurricane Katrina knows what it was like. They just went through that during the pandemic, July 4th, 2020. They're still recovering. Flipping again forward, another issue. Montague Travel Consulting. I have a whole technology component that people completely overlook. Whether it's forecasting for a business, planning for a business, setting up IT, teaching 3D printing, or any of the other services that I offer. And this is the last story. Talk to a small business in New Orleans saying, hey, I see that you do X, Y, and Z. I'm trying to rebuild my YouTube presence to market specifically to the New Orleans market to get them skills and services from other professionals from all over the country that want to come do business in New Orleans. I don't want to charge you for your 20 minutes on YouTube, 10 minutes, 15-minute interview. First response, why is it free? I told you I would like to rebuild my YouTube presence with new material and not talk about Japan and talk about other projects that I'm doing. Why is it free? Okay, so let's take a step back. Here's what everyone else would charge you for marketing time to come do this 15, 20-minute interview with you. Company A would charge you $2,000 for setting up, running the camera, asking questions, finding someone to interview you, and then editing and posting videos to social media, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of that. All right. Company B would charge you $1,000 just for that 20 minutes, doing the same thing a company A does. Company C would charge you almost $30,000 because company C stands for corporate, wants a big profit boost for their time and their services. I'm a small business owner, small proprietor that's trying to help you as well as help myself. What's so hard to understand? Well, you're going to steal my business and my secrets. I don't want anything to do with X, Y, and Z that you do. It's not my skill set, it's not my hobby, it's not my passion, not my interest. I deal with trips to Japan, 3D printing, building computers, teaching people how to use said computers, teaching people cybersecurity techniques and tricks to help them keep them safer, helping people plan out and consult their finances, planning out for large groups. My business doesn't even revolve around. Well, there's something wrong with it if it's free. So when I post what I post, this is the script that I'm talking about. There's always something wrong with free lemonade. You know, Business Careers High School, shout out to my Business Careers co-graduates. If someone's offering you free lunch, you're paying for something. Yeah, mostly your time. If someone is pitching a business proposal to you over a meal, I'm not expecting to pay for the meal, but I am giving up my time. The fact that someone wants to waste time, or let's not be negative, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to invest an hour of my personal time. That means I packed up all my equipment the night before. I've driven to your business. I set up my equipment. I've interviewed you. You have approved the interview, asked the only questions that speak to your strengths, none of your weaknesses. That's going to potentially reach people in Japan. I have people in Japan that watch my YouTube videos in English that want to travel to America to do business with English speaking companies, with people that look like us, and you don't want the free marketing. So free marketing on YouTube in English that will be posted on an American YouTube channel that people in Japan watch that are looking to invest in Black businesses, and you don't want this. Okay, no such thing as a free lunch. Yes, there's always an extended objective cost that is not directly implicit or implied. One, it's also building relationships. It's also building the possibilities for things to grow. It's like you water a plant. You water the plant Monday, and then you don't come back for a year. Yeah, that plant's going to die. Just like phone calls and text messages. So, with all of that being said, I have covered everything, I believe. Hit me in the comments below and we can wrap this up. Peace.